Did you ever feel truly alone, trapped, isolated, unable to connect? Imagine a world where the only person you could talk to was your twin. This is the bizarre story of June and Jennifer Gibbons, the silent twins. Their bond unbreakable, their silence deafening. Born in 1963, these identical twins seemed normal at first, but as they grew, something changed. They retreated into a world of their own. The other children found them strange, but behind their silence, a darker truth was brewing. Lost in their own world, the twins developed a secret language, a language only they understood. They moved in unison, spoke in whispers, their connection unnatural. Was it a bond of love, or something more sinister? Their parents, desperate to break through their silence, sent them to separate schools. A terrible mistake. The girls withdrew further. They refused to speak, to read, to even look at anyone else. Their silence became their weapon, a way to control their world. But their isolation came at a price. The twins began to act out, small acts of defiance at first. Then something far more disturbing: vandalism, theft, even arson. The authorities were baffled. Doctors were called in. Psychologists tried to understand. What was the root of their strange behavior? Was it a shared psychosis, a form of madness, or was it something else entirely? Their bond intensified, their rage grew, and a chilling pact. Haunted by their inability to connect, the twins retreated further. Their silence became a wall, a fortress protecting them from a world they no longer understood. Their classmates sensed their strangeness, whispering behind cupped hands, pointing fingers. The teachers, well-meaning but ill-equipped, struggled to penetrate their world. Specialists were called in. Tests were administered. Yet the twins remained an enigma. Their parents, torn between love and desperation, grappled with a horrifying truth. Their daughters were trapped. Hope seemed like a distant memory. As the twins grew older, their bond intensified, becoming almost parasitic. They moved in perfect unison, mirroring each other's actions. A shared glance, a synchronized blink. It was as if they were two halves of the same soul, inseparable, intense, disturbing. Their bedroom became a sanctuary, a world of their own creation. The walls, once adorned with cheerful posters, were now covered in strange drawings and cryptic messages. Their secret language evolved into a form of telepathy. They communicated without speaking. Their parents, desperate to break through, felt increasingly alienated. A world ruled by silence. Their diaries, discovered by a horrified teacher, offered a glimpse into their twisted minds. Written in their secret language, they revealed a dark and disturbing fantasy world. A world populated by strange creatures and ruled by violence. The girls wrote stories. Violent, grotesque tales filled with murder, mayhem, and a chilling lack of remorse. Their characters, often reflections of themselves, acted out their darkest fantasies with impunity. Their writing was a window into their souls, a terrifying glimpse into the abyss. Their isolation had morphed into a shared delusion, a belief that they were different, special. The line between reality and fantasy blurred, and the consequences would be devastating. Adolescence, a time of self-discovery for most, marked a chilling turning point for the twins. Their bond, already unnaturally tight, morphed into something clawing, desperate, all-consuming. They rejected any attempts at normalcy. They began to experiment with drugs and alcohol, seeking solace, escape, oblivion, anything to numb the pain of their suffocating existence. Their behavior became increasingly erratic, unpredictable. They lashed out at their family, at their teachers, at the world that seemed determined to tear them apart. Their diaries, once a chilling glimpse into their inner world, became darker, more violent, filled with fantasies of revenge. Their home became a pressure cooker, the silence thick with unspoken fear and resentment. Their rebellion took a destructive turn. Vandalism, petty theft, acts of arson that left a trail of scorched earth in their wake. They seemed driven by a need to make their presence felt, to force the world to acknowledge their pain. their rage, their existence. The authorities, baffled by their behavior, struggled to understand these seemingly silent, withdrawn girls who could unleash such chaos. They were sent to a series of institutions, each one promising a cure. But the twins resisted all attempts at treatment. They retreated further into their shared delusions. Their diaries took a sinister turn. Their shared fantasies of escape now centered around a chilling pact. One of them had to die. Only then, they believed, could the other be truly free, to live a normal life, to escape the prison of their shared existence. It was a twisted logic born of desperation, of a bond so intense, so suffocating, that it had become a death sentence. They saw it as a sacrifice, a way to break free from the curse of their shared identity. But who would be the sacrificed? And who would be the survivor? Their behavior became increasingly erratic. Their conversations, overheard by terrified staff, were filled with cryptic pronouncements about sacrifice, destiny, and the unbearable burden of their existence. They seemed to be playing a deadly game. A game with the highest of stakes. The silent twins' world shrank to the size of their cell. The outside world, with its noise and chaos, faded away, replaced by the cold, sterile reality of institutional life. The air hung heavy with the scent of disinfectant and despair. Their only companions, guards, doctors, and the weight of their shared silence. Their days blurred into an endless cycle of medication, therapy sessions, and forced interactions with detached professionals. The twins resisted every attempt to penetrate their world. Their silence, once a refuge, now a form of defiance. A way to exert control over the one thing they still possessed, their shared identity. Their bond, tested by the harsh realities of their confinement, took on a desperate edge. They clung to each other, two drowning souls in a sea of isolation. Their shared fantasies, once a source of dark amusement, now offered a twisted kind of hope. The weight of the legal system bore down on them. Charged with arson, vandalism, and a string of petty crimes, the twins found themselves facing a system ill-equipped to understand their unique bond. Their silence, their refusal to cooperate, was interpreted as defiance, as evidence of their guilt. Psychiatrists, called in to assess their mental state, offered conflicting diagnoses: schizophrenia, autism, a shared psychotic disorder. Each diagnosis came with its own set of labels, its own set of prejudices. Found guilty, they were deemed unfit to stand trial and sentenced indefinitely to Broadmoor Hospital. The silent twins, labeled as dangerous and disturbed, had become pawns in a game they didn't understand. Broadmoor Hospital. The name itself conjured up images of madness and despair, a place where hope went to die. The twins, swallowed whole by this institution, found themselves surrounded by the truly deranged, their days and nights punctuated by the screams of the tortured and the whispered delusions of the lost. They were heavily medicated, powerful antipsychotics designed to quell their thoughts, to mute the voices in their heads. But the drugs, while subduing their outward behavior, seemed to intensify their inner turmoil. They withdrew further into themselves, their bond their only shield against the encroaching madness. Their writing, once a source of dark creativity, had become a desperate lifeline. A strange calm settled over the twins. Their diaries, once filled with anger and despair, now reflected a sense of resignation. They wrote of acceptance, of sacrifice, of a plan to break free from the chains that bound them. Their words hinted at a chilling decision, a pact made in the shadows of their shared confinement. One of them had to die. Only then, they believed, could the other truly live. It was a morbid calculus, a twisted logic born of their desperate need for freedom. The decision, once made, seemed to lift a weight from their shoulders. They became more animated, engaging with the staff, even participating in group therapy sessions. Their transformation, while welcomed by the doctors, was tinged with a chilling undercurrent of purpose. The end, when it came, was swift and unexpected. 1993, the year the silence finally broke, but not as anyone expected. Jennifer Gibbons, the quieter twin, the follower, was found dead. No warning, no struggle, just gone. Her heart, inexplicably still. The official cause, acute myocarditis, inflammation of the heart. But some whispered of a more sinister truth. June, the dominant twin, the writer, seemed strangely at peace. No tears, no hysterics, just a quiet acceptance. With Jennifer gone, June began to speak, haltingly at first, like a bird learning to fly. She spoke of her sister with a mixture of love, guilt, and a profound sense of loss. Their bond, she explained, had been both a blessing and a curse, a source of comfort and a prison. She wrote prolifically, pouring her grief, her confusion, and her newfound sense of self into her diaries. Her writing, once dark and disturbing, took on a new clarity, a raw honesty that was both heartbreaking and strangely hopeful. She was finding her voice, her own identity, in the shadow of her twin's death. The world, hungry for answers, devoured her words. But even as she spoke, a part of her remained forever silent. Years passed, the world moved on, but June Gibbons never forgot. She dedicated her life to honoring her sister's memory, writing poetry, and advocating for mental health awareness. She became a voice for the voiceless, a beacon of hope for those trapped in the shadows of their own minds. The mystery of Jennifer's death lingered. Some whispered of foul play, of medical negligence, of a conspiracy to silence the twins forever. But no conclusive evidence ever emerged. The official cause of death remained unchanged: acute myocarditis, a medical mystery, a broken heart. June, haunted by the past, found a measure of peace in her writing, in her advocacy work, and in the quiet moments of reflection. She learned to live with the unanswered questions, the lingering guilt, and the profound sense of loss. She carried her twin with her, always, a constant presence in the silence of her own heart. The story of the silent twins, once a tale of isolation, madness, and tragedy, evolved into a story of resilience, hope, and the enduring power of human connection, even in death. It served as a reminder that even in the darkest of silences, a single voice can break through, offering a glimmer of light in the face of unimaginable darkness. The silent twins story doesn't end with a neat bow. It lingers. A chilling reminder of the complexities of the human psyche, of the fine line between sanity and madness. Their bond, once a source of fascination and horror, continues to spark debate. Was it symbiotic, parasitic, or something else entirely? Experts still grapple with their case, their secret language, their shared delusions, their chilling pact. Some see them as victims of a system ill-equipped to handle their unique bond. Others believe their fate was sealed by a shared psychosis, a tragic descent into a world of their own making. Their story forces us to confront uncomfortable truths about our own perceptions of normalcy, about the limits of communication, about the unbearable weight of silence. The echoes of their story linger in the hushed whispers of those who remember them, in the annals of criminal psychology, and in the hearts of those forever changed by their bizarre and tragic tale. Their case remains a haunting reminder that some mysteries are never truly solved, some silences are never truly broken, and some bonds, forged in the crucible of shared experience, transcend even the boundaries of life and death. In the end, the story of the silent twins is a story about connection, about the human need for intimacy, for understanding, for someone who truly sees us. June and Jennifer, isolated from the world, found that connection in each other. Their bond, however twisted, however destructive, gave them a sense of belonging in a world that seemed determined to shut them out. June, in the years after Jennifer's death, found a different kind of connection. Through her writing, through her advocacy work, she reached out to a world that had once misunderstood and feared her. She shared her story, not as a plea for sympathy, but as a way to build bridges of understanding. The silent twins' legacy is not just one of tragedy, but also of resilience, of hope, and of the enduring power of the human spirit to overcome even the most unimaginable adversity. Their story reminds us that even in the face of profound loss, even when the world seems determined to silence us, there is always a way to find our voice, to connect with others, and to embrace the messy, complicated beauty of the human experience.